What's up? What's up? Hopefully, I got somebody here because I'm late. I didn't mean to be late, y'all. As you can see, I was putting on makeup. I lost track of time. My sister called and was like, "What you doing?" And I was like, "Getting ready for this stream." She's like, "What time you going on?" I was like, 4:30. She's like, "I got bad news for you." Oh gosh, it's already 4:30, girl. But I'm here. Oh gosh, I am here now. So hopefully, if anybody is joining me, welcome to the show. Welcome to the party. Um, as you all know, we had some excitement around here, and I am still adjusting as everyone else is to the excitement. So, without me further ado, because I have I am late. Shucks. Let's just get things started, shall we? Oh, good. Everything came like I wanted it to. Good. Let me see who I got there. Hey there, Win Grace. Win Grace be having some nice toys on his channel. Y'all see that? Not to mention some very good reviews and some very good commentary on not only Star Trek, he's doing Quantum Leap as well. Hey, Clarence. Um, I don't watch Quantum Leap. I don't think I didn't watch it when it was the original with Archer. What's his real name, y'all? Hey, David. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the party. Yeah, I didn't watch it then. So, I may have caught an episode or two here or there, but I wasn't into it. But I guess I'm going to have to tell myself, let's get into some of these other shows. I've actually been thinking, Scott Bakula, thank you. I don't know why I couldn't think of that man's name. Thanks for the kind words and Bakula. Everybody gonna tell me now. Yeah, I don't know how I forgot. I know he's Captain Archer. I love Captain Archer. Um, yeah, I told myself I'm gonna start probably doing the X Files a little if I can keep Hulu paid. So if I keep Hulu paid, I'm gonna do the X Files for a little while. I truly forgot how much I love that series. Firefly, Farscape, The Expanse. It's a whole lot of them. That let me see. None of those I've watched. No, I haven't watched any. Firefly, Farscape, or The Expanse. Neil. Okay. So anyway, it's a fine day to talk some Star Trek, though. It is. And but before we get into Star Trek, y'all know I have to do it. I have to. We just had a new member come to our team over here at Engage Live. By the way, I'm Tasha Pierce, if I didn't say that. For those who did not know, oh, David says I'm gonna have a blast catching up on all of those series. Hopefully I make a little time for some new stuff or for something different. It's not new, but something different. But first things first, I got to introduce you to our newest member of our team. This one is our associate producer. She brings with her one entire week of unbridled joy to this household and hopefully to the show as we move on. She joins executive producer Ashton to the team, and this is associate producer Amira Hazel. Mira Hazel was born September 30th, 1923. Lord have mercy. That would make her like 100 years old. No, she was born September 30th, 2023. She weighed in at 7 pounds, 2 ounces. She was 19 inches long. That is my new granddaughter, y'all. And she is part of our new crew over here at Engage Live. Now, you know Ashton. Everybody knows Ashton. But you got to see some of her glamour shots, Miss Amira. So this has been what has been happening in our lives this week. We have a brand new addition to the family, and she is bringing us an awful lot of joy so far. Um, Quiet Baby, totally breastfed, which means grandma is like hands off. And I can't say that about Ashton. Ashton, I was very hands on. As a matter of fact, the first 4 months of his life, I think those kids left him back here with me. Thus, Ashton is very attached to his grandma. We're going to see how it fares for Amira because I can't do much. I can't do much but go in there, pick her up, sing a little song or two, and put her back down because her mom is breastfeeding her. And it's just like, it's not only primary, that's all she's been doing. So that's enough about Amira. Unless you guys want to know more, we are going to move on to, and thank you, Win Grace, for uh, your further suggestions or your endorsement of the suggestion for Stargate and Farscape, and then also um, for welcoming our newest edition aboard. So thank you, Win Grace. And also for those of you who I haven't said thank you to in a while, I do it on every video, but my videos have been coming out probably every 2 weeks. Thank you for your continued support as being members of After the Snap Movies and TV, the channel, me as a creator, and on Patreon, wherever you're supporting. I appreciate it. And I invite anyone else who would like to support the show in that way because it does help me keep Hulu paid. Oh, but anywho, anywho, we're going to start things off with Beyond the Holodeck. Our Beyond the Holodeck question today: should Paramount reboot Star Trek The Next Generation? There is a reason I'm asking that question, but if you have an opinion on that, put it down in the chat. I am interested in knowing how we all feel about touching on our old stuff. I know it's like it feels crazy calling it the old stuff, but our oldies but goodies, like The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. Do we want to see reboots? And I'm not talking a full or I'm not talking a new series. I'm talking about let's bring this group of people back with different actors playing them. Tell me what you think in the comments as we move on. And I was asking that question. By the way, I did put the links in the show notes today. So yay, I remembered to do that. So if you want to know the links of the articles that I used when I was putting together today's show, then you can just look in the show notes, the description, whatever you call. Only in the Abrams universe, says Clarence, he does not want to see a new series with these characters. He wouldn't mind seeing it in another universe version of these characters, which I think that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I don't know what happened here. Yeah, technical difficulties. I don't know. Go back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, and trekmovie.com put something new up, and I'm going to look at that because I didn't see that article. But okay, so the reason why I'm asking that question, and by the way, Win Grace says reboot, no, I prefer something new. Clarence says too many other ships that could explore if they want to explore the TNG era, which is also a good point. I feel very much like you guys. I don't think we need a reboot. The one thing that I think that we can expound upon some of the stuff that happened in our old series, but I don't think I want to see a new series with a new Captain Picard or a new Cisco. I wouldn't mind a new Cisco, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Cisco went to the prophets and he can return to this life in any corporal body that he chose, right? So, or at any time, at any age, he could do that. It wouldn't be stealing or robbing from the character, in my opinion. If you have a different opinion, let me know in the chats. I'm asking that question because Patrick Stewart, of course, he's on his book tour. Of course, he is doing the press junket for the book, but we are going to always have questions about some of his work that he's done. One of those things that he spoke about in an interview recently was about his desire to have one more shot at a movie for the TNG for Captain Picard. Many people are asking, well, what more can you add? How much more? He said he wants, in fact, this Captain Picard to be a kind of fearful Captain Picard. And the question was posed to him, how much more scared can he get after he had been assimilated? Well, his response was the assimilation changed him for good. And like extreme and possibly tragic experience, we can't nor should we try to erase them or forget them. So conversations like this, rather than encouraging him to move away from that history, actually are gradually sucking him in. So he gets closer and closer to the possibility. He wants one more stab at it. And I'm good with that. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I don't think it's going to happen. But one can dream. One can dream. Another question that was posed to Picard or to Patrick Stewart was in that Wired profile when the interviewer noted that following the recasting of Captain Kirk, Picard could be next. Patrick Stewart replied, "It will happen, I'm sure. He also has an actor in mind," telling Wired, "I mean, I already have a son. And who knows what's going to happen to him. He could become the next John Luke, and he's a wonderful actor." Now, the way the Wired interviewer, or way that the writer on trekmovie.com read this quote is that he wants his biological son, Dan, I think his name is Dan. Let me go down here and look. Do 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 do. Doody 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 do. I cannot remember. If y'all remember, put it in the. His name is Daniel. So Patrick's son Daniel has appeared in Star Trek before. He played his quote unquote son in that episode, The Inner Light. The interviewer read that or understood this quote to mean that he wanted his actual son. But I was thinking that he meant his son in universe, Ed Speleer's Jack Crusher. And that is where I wanted this thing to go with Jack. I wanted him to continue Picard. Why the heck not? Why wouldn't you continue the Picard series with the son who has now met his father, who has become very influenced by his father? Why not have him become Jack Crusher Picard? You can have a Picard season 4 through 9 if you want to. And we could also incorporate, he doesn't have to be the captain. You can also incorporate his rise through Starfleet. But that's my opinion. It don't have to be that way, whichever way it happens. But that's the way I understood that quote. Now I'm going to go and pick up these comments before I forget. Clarence says Cisco comes back in another body. Jack has to deal with what his father has become after spending over 20 years with the prophets. That's perfect to me. It might not be perfect to everybody. It's perfect to me. Wingray says, after Picard seasons 1 and 2, don't fill me with confidence that Patrick has good ideas for Trek. I didn't hate Picard seasons 1 and 2. They were not the best. And honestly, I had my issues even with series 3, where most people are like, they finally got it right. And I do believe it was a good series, a good season of TV. I just hate that they went back to the well. There was so much more that could have been done with the character of Picard, and they chose to do the easy thing. That's me. I am in the minority here, but that is how I felt about season 3 of Picard. Clarence says this the me to me it sounds like he's talking about the Jack actor. That's the way I felt, Clarence. But these people are thinking the writer on trekmovie.com is thinking that he's talking about his actual son, which, I mean, wouldn't that make sense? He is, like, let's be real, in the twilight of his life, and he has been doing things to make a lot of money. And it seems like he is trying to set his family up for his eventual departure from this plane of living. So it is a possibility that he was talking about his biological, but I honestly believe that he was talking about his on-screen son, and he was referring to himself as the father, like, because he is Jean-Luc Picard. Until we get another actor, and maybe hopefully we don't. But until we get another actor, hopefully, when we think of Picard, we think of Patrick Stewart. Sir Patrick Stewart. Yeah, David, I'm glad you see it that way too. But it was just weird to me that is how this writer took it, that he was talking about his son, his biological son. And we haven't seen him in anything since, we haven't seen him in any Star Trek since The Inner Light. And God, how many years ago was that? So yeah, hopefully that's what they were referring to. And this writer just read that quote wrong. But I think the consensus is that we're not wanting to see a reboot or recasting of the entire TNG cast, as far as us over here on Engage Live. But if it happened in a movie and it was an alternate universe, for instance, the Kelvin universe, so be it, so be it. They've done it before, they'll do it again. Hopefully, we don't have to test that. Paramount makes some crazy decisions, though. We know that. We're going to get into some more craziness that's been coming out from over there. But before we do that, let's talk about Kid Cudi's collaboration with Star Trek. It will be released. Remember, we were talking about it, I think, 2 weeks ago, speculating, at least I speculated that, I think around New York Comic-Con, we'll be seeing this announcement. And yep, the new collaboration launches on October 12th at the start of New York Comic-Con with the release of an original Kid Cudi song inspired by Star Trek entitled Heaven's Galaxy. Fans will also be able to visit the Star Trek by Kid Cudi booth. That is going to be booth 2653 if you guys are lucky enough to be going to New York Comic-Con. And it's going to showcase a new streetwear collection, get a first look at some Fortnite skins and a Fortnite gaming experience featuring Kid Cudi and probably some other stuff. Now, I would love to see what the or as a matter of fact, to be first to see what this streetwear collection looks like. Of course, I'm gonna have to wait until they display it on our websites or our various web pages, StarTrek.com, etc. And of course, I can't afford to go out and buy any of this streetwear stuff. But if I could, you can almost bet that I would have it. I like Kid Cudi, or as far as the songs and what I heard of him from listening to my son bumping that music. He used to bump Kid Cudi 24/24. I heard day and night so much. It'll be like, can you please turn it down? Can you just turn it down? But I came to respect what Kid Cudi was doing in the form of his music. And I also don't mind him being this massive Trekkie. I didn't know it, but it is a another thing to endear me to this artist. Uh, Clarence says, at first, this didn't make any sense to me, but now that I think about it more, it would be great PR if they do this with multiple artists, not just Kid Cudi, and trickle it out over a year or so. And I don't think it will be too hard to find a subsection of artists that you would want to collaborate with who also are Trek fans. Rarely do people talk about Star Trek in their music, but I know there has to be some other artists out there who are massive Trekkies. And if you want to do this, if you want to reach the urban audience, if you want to be taken seriously by a new audience, this is how you do it. You speak to them in the language that they understand, and it is the language of pop culture most of the time. Hey, Miss Powell. Miss Powell says, have no idea who this young man is, but I hope the fandom are more supportive than when Rihanna, who wasn't when she had a song for Beyond. Mm, I don't remember. And I'm surprised. I don't remember the song. But I'm surprised because Rihanna's Navy goes so hard for her. I am so shocked and surprised that more people didn't respond to her call to action to just, hey, don't you want to see, don't you want to hear my new song on Beyond? If I might have to look up what that song was, Miss Powell. I'm glad that you let me see. Rihanna song for Star Trek. Oops. Let me see what that was. It was Sledgehammer. I don't remember this song. Rihanna was on the movie soundtrack. I don't remember the song. And look, I've watched this movie more than once. Why don't I remember the song? I know if I hit play on this, I'm going to get hit with a copyright, so I will not do it. But now I'm curious. So let me look at the lyrics. I hit a wall. I thought I would hurt myself. Yeah, hit a wall. So I'm gonna have to listen to it when the show was over, so that it'll jog my memory for which Rihanna song it was. And look, Kid Cudi is not by any stretch of the imagination still a big part of pop culture. Like you're not hearing an awful lot about Kid Cudi anymore as an artist. He does do some acting now, and you'll probably see more of him in that. But the only reason I know who Kid Cudi is because of my son. You children of a certain age were obsessed with Kid Cudi's Day and Night and Drive Slow Homie, and there were some other songs, but yeah, I remember those because of Quinn. And I don't know why this is showing like this, but anywho, okay, there it is. Miss Powell says it's a good song. When she said that she loved Trek from childhood, the fandom were gatekeeping her Trek knowledge. Maybe that's where we were in 2016 when the song came out. We were still in guarding the fandom mode, and so many people were against the Abrams movies anyway, and this whole Kelvin thing, and there are so many people who have made a substantial amount of content that does nothing but hate on that era of Star Trek, and we're still in the era because they're still threatening us with this fourth movie, which I hope we get, but it's starting to look more and more unlikely. With Grace, with the sarcasm for the win. Trek fans gatekeeping? I can't believe it. I can't either, with Grace. It just sounds so out of character for Trek fans to be out here gatekeeping. But yeah, I'm gonna take a sip, you guys. I'm sorry. I forgot I wasn't on the screen. Lord, I didn't have to apologize that you guys was gonna see me take that sip. Anywho, I'm interested in seeing more about this, and before I want to kind of curb my enthusiasm until we see more, and then also until I hear that song, Heaven's Galaxy. I will be looking forward to hearing that. So October 12th, y'all. Let's keep our ears to the ground. Our next subject is the Star Trek very short treks. This one, final one, was Walk Don't Run. Now look, last week's Star Trek short trek was that the one with the holodeck? That was weird, wasn't it? That was weird. But this one is a bit different. It is Tindy coming on, and she was trying. Let's go through what I wrote. So in this one, uh Tindy was breaking the fourth wall, trying to pay homage to the animated series, the one that paved the way for Lower Decks, right? But here's a twist: the cast of the animated series isn't too thrilled about it, and things get heated as they start arguing about which series is superior. And just when it seems like it's getting out of hand, Riker and Sulu swoop in like peacemakers, telling everyone to just embrace the love. And then out of nowhere, Sulu starts showing his abs. And it was unexpected for me. The real kicker is when Riker and Sulu dive headfirst into this 60s style musical acid trip. And just like that, the episode wraps up with this trippy musical extravaganza. So just when you thought you had seen the last of the Star Trek crew singing, we got another one, y'all. You got another one. Let's see. Jimmy Martinez, hi Jimmy, said, speaking of music, I would love to see the Lower Decks cast pull off the musical episode like Strange New Worlds did. Hopefully, we get to see something like that. And the reason why I'm saying hopefully, and we'll get to it in just a moment. We'll get to it in just a moment, but that would be something to behold. And I think they would do a decent job with it because I've been more impressed this season with Star Trek Lower Decks than any of the previous ones. It's speaking more my language now, and we still have the slapstick humor. We still have, a little bit of lowbrow humor, but for the most part, it's become a more intelligent show. Well, we'll get to it. Um, Clarence says holodeck inception, and that's exactly what it was. And I didn't mind that episode. It was weird. It was weird, but I didn't mind it. Wingray says this is the only one that actually felt like they put a small amount of effort into celebrating TAS like it was advertised. I agree. And Clarence, I see over here, I'm gonna put it up here though. Clarence did not like this last very short trek. You know, I guess it probably had me at Tindy. Y'all know I love Tindy, but it probably had me at Tindy. So out of my 5 stars, I gave this one 3. There was a lot of weirdness going on in this very short trek. Again, and also like when Grace pointed out, this is probably the one that gave us the most celebration of TAS. I think this was like an excuse to just do something different with Star Trek or with animation. It wasn't so much I'm going to celebrate animation. The person whose brain I'd like to pick about this is Geek Filter. I'm gonna have to catch up with him to see if we can collaborate on something sometime soon. Miss Powell says the whole set of very the whole set of very short tracks were weird. They should have gotten the folks on YouTube who made TNG filmation style. Yeah, just it seemed like some of the episodes embraced more of what Star Trek kind of stands for more than others. Um, Even though once we realized it was going to be this kind of weird humor, I was okay, I'm on board. It's not canon. It's not like this is going to follow us anywhere. The one that I really did not like was the booger one. Y'all know which one I'm talking about. Worst Contact. Didn't like the booger episode. But the rest of them were okay to me. They were okay. Would I trade it for uh Prodigy? No. Would I trade it for Lower Decks? Absolutely not. But for 5 episodes of something that it will have no effect on Star Trek moving forward, okay. All right. But I sure didn't like that booger one. When Grace says it oops. It felt very much like an episode of C Lab 2021, if anyone watched that in Adult Swim back in the day. And it was from the makers of Adult Swim. So, of course, it's going to give you that Adult Swim vibe. I was too busy watching Robot Chicken and what else was coming on Adult Swim back then. I had my choices. Put it like that. Robot Chicken was one of them. The meatball, the one with the meatball. What was that one called? Y'all know what I'm talking about if you watched Adult Swim back in the day. I liked that one too. Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That's what it was. Norman said bad TV Funhouse instead of a TAS callback. Only the holodeck one is truly watchable out of all of them. And that's Norman's opinion. And look, y'all are not alone. So many people truly despised what they did with these very short treks. It was an opportunity to do something entirely different, and they went way left with it. Way left. David says, I completely understand how a couple of stoned teenagers could have come up with the ideas for very short treks. I cannot comprehend how such ideas got green lighted, produced, and aired. David is on team. I don't like very short treks. And again, like you said, this is not made for us. Trekkies who of a certain age, Trekkies of a certain era, put it like that. But will it make somebody who was never watched Trek watch Trek? Now, if they watch Trek after seeing these very short treks, then they will be disappointed because our Star Trek has nothing in common or very little in common with these very short treks. So I hope it wasn't trying to win a new audience because it's a misrepresentation of the Trek of the past and even the Trek where they are now. This right here was lower than Lower Decks has ever gone. So much of it was much lower than what we have ever seen in Star Trek Lower Decks. Miss Powell says, I thought they were worse than the Star Wars holiday special. And you got to be from a certain era to remember that Star Wars holiday special. Even though when I was a little kid, I didn't mind it. I was a kid though. And when Grace is feeding me my line, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That was the one I used to. Don't ask me why, because that was such just a freaking nightmare show for anybody with any amount of an intellect. And I guess that's why it spoke to me. It was so freaking stupid and outlandish. It was hilarious to me. And also, I was a whole much younger woman watching Aqua Teen Hunger Force. So our last thing is, and I guess I put myself in the spot. Do we need to save Lower Decks? Now, it has been reported on trekmovie.com and elsewhere. And also I saw it on Twitter myself where Mike McMahon was talking about it may be necessary to save lower decks. And I'm like, once now that lower decks is getting to where I am considering it a well done show, especially this fifth season, the show has grown up. The addition of Cullen has done so much for the cast to me. Um, we are seeing further development for the main characters, which we hadn't seen a lot of in the first, say, 2 seasons. We were the last 2 seasons here. We have seen a far amount of growth in our lower deckers. You can't possibly tell me that Paramount is stupid enough to be thinking of pulling the plug on Star Trek Lower Decks now that it's catching on with people like me, because there were some people and a lot of you loved it from the beginning, but it had to grow on me, and a lot of times it takes a season or two for any series to grow their audience. Well, now that we've grown an audience, are you telling me that we might need to save lower decks? Well, that is what Mike McMahon is insinuating with his comments, and I don't know how many of us saw him, but he said everything is changing. I think everything's going to continue to change. I would say nothing is safe. I don't have any bad news for anybody, but also I think you shouldn't assume that this stuff is going to stick around unless you vocally. I guess what he meant is unless you're vocal and watch it early on. I do not know if we're going to have another season after the season we're working on right now, season 5. Lower Decks could very well be a 5-season show. That bothers me. That bothers me because I understand we want to see this series, we want to see that series. So by us pushing for new series such as the Legacy series, such as what was the other one, Starfleet Academy, that nobody is asking for, but they're going to give us anyway. By them pushing for these things, or by the fandom getting these things, whether we want them or not, does it mean they're going to have to pull the plug on something else? Because I want to see what the vision was for this series now that we have gotten to season 4 and these characters have grown on me and I'm invested in their future. I want to see what the plan was for us if this was going to be a 7-season run. And instead, we got to start now planning to save the series. And I don't think it's fair to us as fans. So we need to come up as a consensus. And I've got a small group. There are creators with far larger followings than this. I want to know pretty much what will we do, or what do you think we should do to get this thing greenlit for more seasons? Because this is how I am. I feel like I want to see what happens next. I'm still very invested in where we're going with this mystery ship. But anyway, I'm going to read this quote because it is gosh, and I just let me find a good. I'm gonna get it like this so you guys can see it. I don't know if you can see it. Hell, can y'all see that? Was it right? Okay, Mike McMahon went on to say a letter writing campaign after a show gets canceled, it's helpful. But what's more helpful is campaigning to get more eyes on the show when it's airing, because it gives me the ability to push for more seasons. I would love to finish Lower Decks with the plan that I have for it. I would say take Prodigy looking for a new network, and take a look at Picard being wrapped at season 3, and at Discovery unwrapping or wrapping as well. I would say read these as signs that if you want more Lower Decks, you should be vocal about it now and not wait. This is almost like him telling us, look, there have been conversations, nothing is set in stone. But if you want to see more of this, you need to make some noise and make it now, because in the future there might not be a future for Star Trek Lower Decks. And I see somebody's watching me on Facebook. Who is it? I don't know, but they gave me a like on Facebook. So thank you. And if you're watching on any of the other platforms, please like the show. And if you want to share it or do whatever you want, but people will know that we're here if you like the show. Let's see. Let's see. Clarence. Oh no, we're going to start back with Miss Powell. She says she loved the holiday special in parts, but it had this very short treks had no redeeming value, and I can agree with that. There's nothing, this does not impact the overall franchise in a good way. As a matter of fact, it takes away from it. If this would have been made by just a fan, like you guys were saying, if it were made by a fan, it might be, oh, well, that's cute. Or if it were made by someone who was parodying Star Trek, then you'd be like, oh, that's cute. This was put out under the Star Trek banner, and it was not something that is going to bring in new viewers. And y'all know that I'm a Star Trek. I want it to be here. So everything that we need to be doing right now is to retain the present audience and to bring in new viewers. And if you make something like Very Short Treks and a bunch of people like it for whatever reason and watch it for whatever reason, and then they try to come into the fold proper, they're not going to find anything that makes them want to stick around. At least Lower Decks has smart references to stuff that happened in Star Trek history. So if a person does get into Star Trek, they'll see those parallels from Lower Decks and whatever they're watching, So yeah. Clarence says, if Lower Decks goes, Trek is in trouble. It has to be the most affordable to produce. And look, I agree. I agree for another reason, because Lower Decks is what is bringing in younger viewers. Younger people are watching Lower Decks, whether, I like it or not. That is something that these newer, the younger generation will become interested in the franchise with Lower Decks. Now, unless they have an idea for another way to bring in a younger audience, and don't try it with this, do not think that Starfleet Academy is going to be what does it. Unless it is done extremely well, they have some names that are recognizable to young people, it's not going to bring in a young audience. And that's what we need. If you want Star Trek to be here for another 40, 50 years, that's what we need. If we want Star Trek to be thought of like, which it is right now, but where you still see new audiences being brought into Doctor Who, for instance, because they are getting a name. They're getting names that are recognizable to a younger audience, and it don't have to be teenagers. They should just be young adults. Young adults bringing them in, and I think that they are. If to me, it was kind of no matter how you feel about what's the name of that show, Discovery, no matter how you feel about Star Trek Discovery, Sonequa Martin Green in that era at that time was recognizable because of her work on The Walking Dead. People knew who she was. She had a bunch of fans who would want to see her in her next project. That was a smart move. Did they do that with with Picard season 3? No, they went back and got recognizable people for us, which is fine because it made us tune in. But who are you trying to court? Are you trying to court the old heads? Which I don't mind being courted, y'all. That's I'm trying to put myself in the center here. I don't mind being courted, but I still am looking to the future. I'm a futurist. I have to look to the future and see who is going to carry the torch when I'm gone, when Clarence is gone, Miss Powell. We're not going to be here forever. But I want Star Trek to be here forever. Oh gosh. Uh oh, David said, Lower Decks is the best of the new Trek, even better than Strange New World, which ain't bad. I don't agree, but I do agree that it's become, to me, it's become something that I am very interested in watching and seeing what the end game is for these characters. I hate the fact that we are even having this conversation that there could potentially be a need to save Star Trek Lower Decks. When we see this type of quote from Mike McMahon, that's scary to me because it also makes me wonder what's going to happen with all of it. The way TV and streaming is now, you fall in love with a series, and for instance, I'm gonna give you an example. It was a series called The Society on Netflix, and it was a young adult series, but my old ass was watching it. I loved it. I really love this show. And then one day it goes off and it never freaking comes back on. And that is what they're starting to do with Star Trek. We are getting invested in a story. We want to see how this story fares, and then they pull the plug. And they pull the plug and then try to feed us some more Star Trek. But why would I get invested in this series when I know eventually you're just gonna pull the plug on that one too? So yeah, I'm getting a little testy today. Claire says, I wonder if the watch early on comment has to do with the number on release day of each episode. Now, I have not seen any Nielsen ratings. And I guess I should be looking those up, right? But I haven't seen the Nielsen ratings because Picard was in the Nielsen ratings at least twice? Three times for Picard. Star Trek Strange New Worlds this past season 2, stayed in there for I think 9 out of the 10 weeks. 9 out of 10 weeks we had Star Trek Strange New Worlds in the Nielsen ratings, right? I've heard nothing about Lower Decks. So let's just take a look and see if we have Nielsen ratings. And it might be too soon, but I don't think so. Let me see. For September. We're going to put September because maybe they're not out yet. Let's see. I don't see anything. Here are cable news ratings. That's news. TV ratings for streaming. They keep giving me I'm going to have to wait to see if somebody puts it out. Let me see. Streaming week of September 4th through 10th. Let's see. We have no, we don't have any Star Trek Lower Decks, but I don't remember what month. I mean, what date Lower Decks came out. Put it like this. That was the last one that I see here. Star Trek. I mean, September 4th through 10th original. Only thing from Paramount that I'm seeing on this list right here is Special Ops Lioness. Anywho, I'm pretty sure once I scroll down, somebody gonna tell me something. But yeah, I don't know how many people are watching Star Trek Lower Decks, and maybe that is potentially why this conversation is being had. Many people, however, are unlike us and do not like appointment television. They don't like watching every week. They want to binge the entire series or the entire season. And with Star Trek Lower Decks having shorter episodes, it's far easier to do. You got a 10 episode season. And with Star Trek Lower Decks, you can knock that out all together in 5 hours, give or take. And maybe that's what people are doing. But what Mike McMahon says here is that it seems like we need to get people somehow to watch it weekly. And how do we do that? How do we do that? Are there any ideas? I'm taking ideas at this point. Miss Powell says, I think that McMahon is being realistic. This is season 4 right now, and they are on for season 5, but Netflix only makes 3 to 4 season shows. The Yellowstone prequels are 1 season. Aren't they coming out with a second one for that 1923 or whichever one it was? And I haven't been watching that Yellowstone, but I do like Kevin Costner, so I do follow some of the news that well, Kevin Costner is what, a producer on that. I think it's Harrison Ford, right? I'll tell me if I'm right. Jimmy says, I love Lower Decks, but if they're going to cut it after 5 seasons, I hope they write it as such, right? I would hate for them to keep us hanging. But I just don't understand how they're going to wrap it in 5 seasons if he had a 7-season plan. We're going to get shorted somewhere. And the same way I'm feeling about Discovery. I love Discovery. I know that is an unpopular opinion amongst many. I love Discovery. I hate that they had already finished season 4 when they announced that there would be no season. I mean, no, they had finished season 5 when they announced that there would be no further seasons, because now they have to tack on some kind of ending, and it's to make it like kumbaya-ish, the same way they did Enterprise. I didn't like that, and hopefully they did a better job ending Discovery than they did Enterprise, because I'm gonna be mad because I liked Enterprise too, despite what people felt about it back in the day, because people are coming around to Enterprise now. But despite what people felt about it back in the day, I liked Enterprise even then, and I was not happy with the way it ended. I think that it deserved something a little bit more. It deserved something solely to itself, not let's drag in some TNG. But you know what? Y'all have heard me make this gripe before. I'm not going to keep beating this dead horse because we can't go back and finish that series, right? We got a chance here with Star Trek Lower Decks. We blew it with Discovery. Okay, we blew it. We've got a chance with Star Trek Lower Decks. And despite how I might have felt about Star Trek Lower Decks seasons 1 and 2, I know how important this series is to improving the numbers for the fandom, to keeping the fandom alive. And I will do what is necessary and I don't have a huge audience. Y'all know that. If y'all think that needs to change, then y'all need to share these streams or share my videos or get more eyes on that, because I don't have a large audience. I don't have a lot of people who are looking to me as for some kind of quote unquote influence. We over here are a team. This is conversation. This is not me having a lecture, So what do we need to do? How do we need to go about making sure that they will stop shorting us and leaving us hanging, as Jimmy said? How they'll stop doing that with these series? I agree with Miss Powell, who says that, hey, these seasons are getting shorter for a series on other streamers, and they're going to follow suit. Then can we get more episodes, or can we have that plan in place when you're pitching an episode? Hey, there is no guarantee that you're going to get more than 3 seasons. Tell me how this story has a first act, a second act, and a close in 3 seasons. Go. You know, oh, no, 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 no. Ms. Powell again says, watch the 7th rule for this episode. They had an interview with him and the director of this week's episode. The streaming Nielsen's are making people look at first week numbers and not long-term numbers. That's good to know. So basically, what we should have been doing was before the series even started, before this season even started, we should have been trying to pull people in to watch Star Trek Lower Decks. Wingray says the impact of where the very short treks, the impact the very short treks might have, knock on wood, is the final appearance of Takai in anything Trek, and that would not be a good thing. I don't think he needed to go out on that. Really, I don't. I would like to see him do something. Why is this not picking up these comments? Lord. There it is. Clarence says, I think they need to keep the road steady and stick to their guns. Prodigy kids, unnamed Starfleet academies, teenage angst, lower decks, young adult. I agree. I agree that Prodigy, we shouldn't even be having the conversation about Prodigy not being a thing. We shouldn't be having this conversation, yet here we are, right? Starfleet Academy, teenage angst, lower decks, young adults. What are they going to do for us? Are we going to have to wait for the movies? Because at the same time, while I do want growth, I don't want to be left out. We're going to watch the reruns of Star Trek. Many of us watch them religiously anyway. Give us something also. And I know the movie is coming, and I don't know if that's going to be of interest to as many fans because of the divided reception of Star Trek Discovery. A lot of people don't know the backstory of Georgiou and how she would end up being in Section 31. Could it possibly make them go and seek out maybe season 2 of Star Trek Discovery? Maybe. We shall see. Yeah, David, Enterprise was the first of that sad trend. It absolutely is. It was horrible what they did to Enterprise. Ms. Powell says Nielsen is several weeks behind. It measures number of minutes streamed in a week. The streaming Nielsen's do. Got you. So September 7th was when it started, and this list was from September 4th through 10th. So maybe we'll see a pickup in the following week, right? So from the 11th through the 17th or 18th, 17th. We'll see. Now look, I think I'm missing maybe, but 187 something was one season. I'm missing something. I'm missing context. I don't remember what excuse me. I don't remember what I was saying when you said that, Miss Powell. If you don't mind reminding me. Dreamwalker says, I like Discovery most of the time. Also, really upset over how they were suddenly ended. Yeah. And again, Star Trek Discovery wasn't perfect. You guys, I was probably the most consistent with my reviews with Star Trek Discovery. And I did not hold back on some of those episodes. There were some episodes that truly I didn't like. But the series overall, I enjoyed. I'm still enjoying. Angus says, more Strange New Worlds, please. Hello, Angus. Welcome to the show. More Strange New Worlds. We're going to get at least that one more season, right? We know that. So, I guess we need to keep our foot on the gas for Strange New Worlds as well. But we need to make them, we are the consumer. We are who they are doing all of this stuff for. Is their vision for Star Trek their vision, or is it what we want to see? We need to make Paramount very aware of what we want to see. And if it's Star Trek Lower Decks, then damn it, we need to make sure they understand that we will start leaving Paramount Plus right after Strange New Worlds or whatever series or show they come out. We'll start walking away in droves if you guys cannot give us what we want. And I don't know how many people are doing that anyway. Wingray says Legacy, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, and a fourth, which I guess has to be Academy because they're so in love with that idea. And for a little while I was too, but I don't think I'm not interested, especially it is going to be a teen show. We know it's going to be a teen show. Will I watch it? Of course I'll watch it, and I'll come here and I'll complain on Sundays. But am I looking forward to it? Not so much. Legacy, a little bit more than Starfleet Academy. It depends on how well it's done. But I think they have a good shot of Legacy being a good show. Especially if they go anthology, the anthology route where these shows are kind of in a bottle and they have maybe an underlying thread between them. They're not highly serialized, I guess is where I'm going. Miss Powell says Legacy for me, post DS9 and Voyager in the 25th century. That would be good. That's an unexplored era. And yeah. Oh, the Yellowstone prequel. That's what that 1870. Okay, Miss. I got you. Okay, and Dreamwalker says, I want more 7 at Miss Powell, so I agree. Yes. Dreamwalker also goes on to say, we need to see what's happened to Janeway some way or another. Thank you. They started telling us some stuff in Prodigy, and then it's like, F Janeway. No, we need to see her in live action or something. Bring it back. I hope Clarence said something a couple weeks ago, like, is it possible that they want to do something live action with these with the Voyager cast and they couldn't do it because they were tied up with Prodigy? Maybe that is the case, and maybe they have a plan and we're just not privy to it, but they better let us know. Wingray says, although I would love them to add animated adventures to fill in gaps of live action, Sulu and the Excelsior, Riker on the Titan, etc. So yeah, that would, they could do more very short treks. They just have to do them well. They would have to do them in a way that's cohesive with the rest of the franchise. This was a very, very messy entry into Star Trek lore, even though it's not canon. It bears the name Star Trek. Angus says they could revive Faith of the Heart for the teen angst show. It will fit right in. Yes, it would. Now Miss Powell is going on about how we help this show. She says we have to watch weekly, which we're doing. So we need to drag some other people with us. Strange New Worlds and Picard showed up on the weekly ratings. After Lower Decks, I dropped Paramount Plus for the year. So she leaves Paramount Plus after Lower Decks. When I had Paramount Plus, because right now I'm riding on one of our friends' coattails, but when I had Paramount Plus, Um, I kept it all year round because I did watch a couple of other shows. After, like I said, I watched Evil and I watch 48 Hours. There are certain things that I watch on Paramount Plus that would be like, okay, and I have to watch, old episodes so that I can do my track by numbers. So I was keeping that that streaming service up, but if it's nothing there for us, then I don't blame you, Miss Powell. Drop it until Strange New World shows back up. Clarence says, I agree that it may be smart to be in the timeline together and operate in the same eras so they can share resources, right? Sets, actors, production, etc. Whether that be a TNG or a Strange New Worlds era. Yeah. And Clarence says Paramount Plus is how he watches football on Sunday. And I'm pretty sure, oh no, that wasn't today. I forgot the Bears played Thursday. I'm about to say, I'm pretty sure you're going to tell me how horrible the Bears did today. But nope, they didn't do bad at all today because they didn't play, huh? And they won on Thursday, even though, I've been staying away from football. But yeah, they won on Thursday. Anywho, let's start getting into. We didn't talk for an hour and we just now getting to some lower decks. And you know what? This was a good episode to me. To me, now, I mean, everybody might not feel the same way. I enjoyed very much this episode. Of course, I liked it because there was a kind of a focus on Tindy and Rutherford, who I have been shipping from the first season, even though I should be ashamed of myself trying to put together some doggone cartoon characters and make them have a relationship. But here I was. And we got a little glimpse of what could have been, but then it didn't go that route. But we did get to see a great couple from Star Trek Past, Rom and Lita. We got to see them come back, and Alita proved to be very cunning. Rom proved to be a very astute Grand Nagus for the Ferengi. He played Admiral. Forgot his name. Vassary was his name. Admiral Vassary. He played him like a flute, right? So I enjoyed seeing them come make their return. Also, we went to Ferenginar, and of course, it was very familiar. We've been there before, but we haven't seen some of the things that we've seen this week before. It returns Grand Nagus, Rom, and Lita. There was these references to Star Trek: The Experience in Las Vegas, and Clarence shared with us a photo from when he went to Star Trek: The Experience in Las Vegas, which is on our Discord, which I didn't put the link in the show notes, but we do have a Discord. We do get together throughout the week and just have conversation. We just keep the conversation going over there. So I'm going to figure out if I can add to this to the show notes so that you guys will know how to get in contact with us over on the Discord. Miss Powell said that would be great. Little animated series while the legacy actors are alive and in good voice. Yes. Yes, and record a whole lot of them. You ain't gotta be stingy about it. You can have a catalog while these people are alive and in good voice, and pay them accordingly. The Bears. Clarence loved this episode as well. Yes. Dreamwalker did not like Vassary in the episode, but the rest was pretty good. They made Vassary like the a dumb admiral, and I won't call him dumb. He was a know-it-all to the point where he thought that there was nothing that Captain Freeman could tell him about being an ambassador and diplomacy and all of that. Nothing that she could tell him. She couldn't tell him anything. And it turned out that she was right, which makes us realize that she's very competent. Not saying that she seemed incompetent before. The first season, she was kind of a hard ass, and they made her a hard ass. The second and third season, I think that they kind of took a step back, dumbed her down just a little bit. Not dumb, but she was nowhere near as efficient as she was in the first season, because there had to be that juxtaposition between Mariner and her mama. Now we know that they're related, and we got to see the evolution of their relationship, and maybe that's why they had to dumb her down a little bit. But at the end of the day, she's a captain because she deserves to be one, and because she knows her shit. And they showed that. Thankfully, they showed that in this episode. Ram's Ferengi politics were on point, says Angus. Yes, he played them like a fiddle, or he played Vassery. Freeman knew exactly what he was doing. Let's see. So yeah, the tube grubs leaders, like, I'm not having any of that, thank you. But it was there. They had the spread for a Ferengi guest, but they just didn't have knowledge, the proper knowledge of Ferengis, except for Captain Freeman. And they were giving him gifts, and he's accepting them. And once you accept it, now that means you got to pay for it. Freaking idiot. Look at how Freeman looking at him. She giving him the side eye out of this world. She knows he is about to get played. She is trying to save his butt. He is not allowing her. Admiral Sensors is how I know him. David says Rom lived on DS9 for years. Why didn't he trust the Federation? I mean, I think he probably trusted who they were when he was on DS9, but this is a different set of people. People that he trusted are no longer, well, I can't say they're no longer. I mean, we don't know what they're doing now. We did find out some of it, didn't we? A couple of seasons ago. We know what Quark and what Kira were up to. But yeah, I don't know why he didn't give them a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt, right? Clarence says, I think he trusted the Federation. He was just trying to make a deal. And honestly, that's probably more it. He was trying to get the best deal for his people. The art of the deal, y'all. Freeman's increased competence and good captaining this season makes me worried about her fate. When, Grace, you think they're gonna do something to her? I surely hope not. I surely hope they don't do anything to Freeman. How would they do that? And we have Maren, her daughter. They would have to show her grieving, or hopefully that's not what you meant. That something like that would happen to her. Miss Powell said, I love this episode. I've been waiting for the reason for Mariner's personality for 3 seasons. I'm thinking Dominion War trauma about command or a bad order or something. So yeah, we're learning more about why Mariner is so it seems like she is just so afraid of growing in Starfleet. She don't mind being in Starfleet. And she does, just like her mama. She knows her stuff. But when it comes time to execute, she always has to do something to sabotage herself. And this self-sabotage was pointed out by her little Ferengi friend, Quimp. And he's telling her, I can see right through you. And maybe we'll get more of an answer as to why she self-sabotages, but she got into an accident in a ship. We know that, right? We heard that. I don't forgot what ship. What was the name of that ship? I think I got a damn. Thought I had it in my notes. I do not. But we know she got into an accident on a ship. We know she's been around for a long time, or longer than the rest of the lower deckers, right? So she does have a potential to have been part of the Dominion War, and she could be experiencing some type of PTSD or something where she had to give an order that wasn't uh, or that turned out to be a bad order or something like that. It could be any of those things that Miss Powell has listed here, but I'm far more invested in knowing than I was in season 1. Yep. Especially when we see how good of an officer she really is. She just is playing a game with the her superior officers, command team. Clarence says, I could actually see that episode playing out in live action. Very well done. Freeman rocked on this one. She absolutely did. And I thought that it could have been a sitcom as well. This is an episode that's just like Clarence said, could have been played out in live action, and it wouldn't be hampered by the source material being animated. This is something that could actually have happened on a live action ship, and I enjoyed it. Cisco would have crushed those negotiations, says Angus. Yeah, but Cisco's someplace profiteering. And not the Ferengi profits, but the profits. Oh. Miss Powell says the director of this episode said that this season will explain what the underlying Mariner psyche is based on. Quark has always said that the feds were arrogant. It's one thing to trust individuals, but trusting a whole governmental system is reasonable or unreasonable? Reasonable. But I agree. We don't just look at, for instance, look at where we are politically in the United States. One half of the people trust the president, the other half of the people don't trust the president. And we could say that about the last 10 presidents, probably, at least the last 5. Some people trust, some people didn't. And it was really, really a close. So, yeah, I'll trust the president, but our entire system could use a little bit of an overhaul, if you ask me. Mariner only crashed in Oberth class. That's like a mercy for that class. Oberth class, Mariner has definitely been helping the other lieutenant junior grades get ahead, so she's not against all authority. This is true. Profiting, not profiting, and there is a difference between that whole PHE versus that FIT. Angus says Quark also realized the pure volatile danger in humanity when deprived of their creature comforts. And that was something big that was pointed out by Quark when was it what episode? It was one of my favorite episodes. The Siege of AR 558. Is that the number? It's reasonable to be wary of. So going back, let's pick that up so that it all makes sense the way if I can find it. I might have lost it. Yeah, I might have lost it, Miss Powell. I don't know where it went to. Okay, here it is. Quark has always said that the feds were arrogant. It's one thing to trust individuals, but trusting a whole governmental system is reasonable, and then you add to be wary. It's reasonable to be wary of that entire system. Gotcha. Um, so let me see. Become a patron if you guys like. Patreon.com/Tasha Pierce. We got Miss Powell who's there. We got Geek Filter there. We got Clarence over there. And then you can see where our friends over here with the special symbols by their name are my supporters on YouTube. Support is support, and I appreciate it all. So thank you guys. I do appreciate your continued support. Let me see. Now, let's go to the next is it just me? Excuse me. Is it just me? Or does this kind of look like the CBS logo? Tell me. Does that look like it's trying to brainwash us into some CBS-ish? That looks like the CBS logo. But wait, there's more. Because when I go to the next picture, that behind Boimler looks like the Paramount Plus logo, don't it? You think they try to do some subliminal messaging or some mind control on our asses? Because it's there. Now, I like the Boimler angle because he was binging on the Ferengi TV and he ends up becoming addicted. And then he, at the end of it all, he gets dragged back to the Cerritos. He has to get dragged back by the Ferengi police. I thought that was pretty cool. 100. Claire says, 100%. Yeah, they trying to do some subliminal. I said it right the first time. Y'all know subliminal messaging on our asses. Shit. They are trying to brainwash us into keeping Paramount Plus past lower decks. Miss Powell, they trying to get you, girl. Jimmy Martinez says, absolutely. They had that up while Boimler was being exposed to ads. They sure did. How, well, what do you call it? Ironic. Huh. Let's see. Miss Powell says, it's like joining NATO. You're committing your world to potential wars. The U.S. activated Article 5 of the NATO Charter after September 11th. That created a 10-year war in Afghanistan, no matter what you think. Yep. And I mean, just think about how much else we gave away after September 11th. Now, I'm not going to get into this political conversation. And by political, I mean, it has a politics at its center. But I'm not going to get into a political whole discourse right now. We can do that on the other channel. On Sinister Silhouettes. If you guys didn't know, I do a true crime, paranormal, conspiracy theory, all the taboo subjects. Yep, all that's over there on Sinister Silhouettes. So if you would like to subscribe to that on YouTube, do that. If you subscribe to me or if you become a patron, you are helping to support both shows. Sinister Silhouettes is doing pretty well. I think in Israel, I was ranked in the top 200. Haven't gotten there yet for the US, but that is just something else. If you guys like weird subjects, true crime, and that type of stuff, Sinister Silhouettes right down there at the bottom of your screen. But anywho, yes, Miss Powell, you 100% correct. And we gave up a whole lot more during the fear of terrorism around the September 11th attacks, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Slacker Boimler was hilarious. Yep, Slacker Boimler was. I thought it was so freaking funny, and I think I found more joy in that than I probably should have. It reminded me of something I've seen. As a matter of fact, when Grace said it in his review, it reminded me of something I had seen, and it was from the Orville when that alien race got addicted to old reality television from our era. during, on the Orville. I thought it was so freaking funny because it made me think of that, even though I couldn't even put my finger on it until Wingray said it in his review. David says subliminal. Yay. An in-ad placement too. Yep. Everything. They truly outdid themselves to make us realize that we are being sold something. Damn near 100% of the time, we're being sold something. Brainwash. Norman says, I stop and take a sip of my Sluggo Cola and my Delta cookies. And Sluggo showed up. Yes, Sluggo Cola showed up. Wingray says, I love these subliminal winks in shows, especially 10 years later when they're on another network and no longer make sense. They'll still be brainwashing people in the future. You're right. Love the cop landlords. Almost too realistic. Yes. It was a lot to love. And let me take Sinister Silhouettes. This ain't that. Take Sinister Silhouettes off of here. But I am going to tell you that if you're not yet subscribed, please become a member. Subscribe to the show. Hit the like button. All the stuff that YouTubers tell you to do all that shit. And if you want to become a Patreon, bam, it's right there at the bottom of the screen. Now, anywho, what else? The mystery threat continues though, right? We had the attack on a Ferengi ship this time, and they seem to have been the target. So it wasn't like last week with the Orions, where the Orions picked the fight and they wrote their little check that they asses couldn't cash. This time, the Ferengis were targeted, it looks like. So I'm wondering what this is all about. Is there anything about these Oh, guys, give me a moment. I'm gonna be right back. Do not leave. Y'all hang out here and chat for a second. I'm gonna see what everybody wants. I guess y'all get to see her live and in full effect. But I have to be a little softer than I was. Um, yeah, she's here. Okay, let's see. Where was I? Where was I? Where was I? Miss Powell says, we say that Starfleet is not military, but it is a protection pack. Ferengi is not only joining to get protection. What if a Section 31 is doing Cisco in the pale moonlight for New Worlds to join? Girl, that would be something else, wouldn't it? If we were to find out that, uh, if we were to find out that Starfleet was behind all of this, that would be nuts. Even though all they are doing is basically destroying ships, they're not killing people. Hopefully, these people are being transported before they are killed. I don't want her to wake up because I said she was a quiet baby, but I might have been telling a lie. She might show off today. Is some weapons collector, says I, but how are they collecting the weapons if they destroying the ships? It seems like they're taking the people, but they are destroying the ships. Clarence says it was funny at how futile Rom and Lita knew it was to get the Klingons to join. Yeah, and they knew they ain't going. But Freeman, this baby smiling and laughing like she know what we talking about. But Freeman played them. She already had that card in her pocket, and I love the fact that she played them. I love the fact that she played them. Didn't it look like that Ferengi knew what was going on? I don't know that I paid attention. This baby, this a weird baby. I'm telling you, she smiles and laughs so much. But anyway, I think I think that she is gassy, and all that smiling is fake. Um, David is telling me again, do all that shit. Firefly, Farscape, The Expanse. You know, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to see, because I do need to get a higher presence on YouTube. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I enjoy doing the live streams far more than I enjoy putting together videos. And it's the same with the other channel. I don't put together videos too often. They're short when I do. But I enjoy doing the talking part. So maybe my thing is if I had somebody else to edit, that would be perfect. Um, yeah, that one Ferengi seemed a bit more in the loop. So when Grace noticed it too, I'm gonna have to watch it again just to see what you guys are talking about. Oh, that he knew what was going on with the mystery ship. Okay, I lost the plot for a second. I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch it again. I'm gonna have to watch it again. Miss Powell said Rom and Lita were great. I went to the Star Trek experience in its first iteration. I was so tickled with quarks. I really wish I would have been able to do that. I'm gonna get to the convention one day, but I missed the boat with the Star Trek experience. That was going on during the time where, look, y'all know I suffer from anxiety, and I used to talk myself out of doing things. I would talk myself out of it saying, "Oh, you can't afford to do that." I was making decent money at the time. I could have afforded to do it, but I would talk myself out of it. I would talk myself out of it every time. Um, are you watching Loki? Yes, I am. I definitely am. I wasn't completely 100% sure what the hell was going on for part of Loki, but I did watch the first episode. I'm also watching Gen V, The Boys. I finished The Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time season 2, excellent to me. Gosh, especially that last episode. So there is a lot of things that I have been watching along with Star Trek Lower Decks, and that that might also be cutting into the time that I could be working on videos. They had Voyager and Enterprise D on the ceiling, just like that, and walking costumed characters in the bar and the ship. And I know that only because, let's see, only because Clarence shared a picture. So let's open it in the browser and let me share. Let me share that, because what Miss Powell is talking about is demonstrated very well by this photo that Clarence put on our Discord. Yeah, I thought that was nice. It looks good. It looks really good. And they did a good job rendering it in Star Trek Lower Decks. And Miss Powell's like, live stream. I'm honestly, I feel like I like doing that a whole lot more. Now, because I'm doing 2 shows now, it would be maybe instead of doing 1 a week, I could do 2 live streams a week. We're going to see. I don't want to make any promises because you know how that is. He did. He knew the ship was coming. He said that it's right on time. So because most of these species that have got by this mystery ship have been of some shady kind of species. I hate to be racist, but the Klingons, the Romulans, the Orions, the Ferengi, all are kind of shady, right? There hasn't been anybody who hasn't been shady yet. So maybe somebody is selling these ships out. Yeah, that makes sense. Hopefully that's what you were alluding to, because that's what I'm taking from it. That the shadiness of the species makes it very okay. She ready for me to bring her baby back to her. And she's not a new mommy. She's got another baby, but she act like she can't use the bathroom or do nothing with this baby. It's like, you just put her down. Is it just me? You just put her down. But anywho, I'm gonna be right back again. I'm sorry for keep having to hold. Okay. thank you for your patience. If you stuck around, I sure hope so. Let's see. Miss Powell said, I will have time after Lower Decks is off to become an all genre show. You could talk Ahsoka, Loki, and the new weekly genre shows. And that is actually a very good idea. Now, look, I used to do that, just talk entertainment completely, but I can bring Stream Something Sunday back because that's what that show was. I would just talk all the shows that came out during the week, and yeah, give each one of them a few minutes. Yeah, Miss Powell, that sounds like a great idea. I'm going to keep that in the tucked away back here because yeah, that makes sense. Um, this was my favorite though. See, they think it's going to be so easy to just play at being in a relationship, and then they found out that they might really have a thing for one another. And I've been wanting this. I'm thinking that they're so perfect together. Why don't they be in a relationship? And I guess, you know, being a real live human being, we know that that doesn't always work out for the best. Just because you're great friends doesn't mean you'll be in a great for one another. As a matter of fact, sometimes you would be worse than with one another because you're so much alike. But yeah, Jeffrey's Tube lovers. Literally, they love the Jeffrey's Tube, not each other. I thought it was beautiful, especially when he saw her in this dress. And it was pretty much like va va voom. And then they were forced to act like they, really loved each other. And the Ferengis wanted them to get in that thing and you know, and they wanted to listen. That's absolutely insane. Oh, it was funny to me. And again, we talked about Mariner a bit, but we see her and some of her self sabotage and behavior. She has an excuse when she meets up with somebody that she once knew. Now she feels like she's got an excuse to revert back to the old Mariner. But even this friend Quimp was like, "That ain't this. We're not low key. We're not young anymore. It's time for you to not just grow up, but to stay grown up." And I liked his advice to her. That was a true friend. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And even after she sat there and got her ass kicked, starting that fight, and she got her butt kicked. He gave her the advice any friend would give their friend, and when they said goodbye, it was like, I think her behavior is going to change after this. And that's it. I ain't got no other slides. So, but I didn't put what my rating would be. Now, my last week, because I did not do a show, because Amira, hello. But what was I about to say? Oh, I did tell my rating on Clarence's show. So last week's episode, and I forgot what the name of it was. I gave that one a 4.25. Yeah, that was pretty high, wasn't it? And this one I will probably give a 4.25. I was going to say 4.5. You know what? 4.5. I don't want to give it a 5 because I still am holding out hope, or holding out until I see what happens with this mystery ship. This mystery ship got me going, and I don't have any at least you guys have some ideas of what it could be, but I don't have a clue. I can only sign off on what you guys say. And you guys have some pretty darn decent ideas. Uh let me see. Miss Powell said, "These two are so cute. The classic Star Trek Will they or won't they? Spock, Chapel, onward. And I think they're going to play us. I think we're going to find out that they won't, and it's going to break my heart, but I do want them to. And Miss Powell says, I like that the Ferengi here is a true friend, like the ones on DS9. Exactly. It's showing us that they're not one-dimensional, even though that there are certain traits that you can ascribe to all of these different species. There's always somebody who breaks the mold. And there are more than one somebody as far as Ferengis, because we saw, like Miss Powell suggests, Quark. We saw him be a good friend. Yeah, he did some effed up stuff here and there, but he was a good friend. Um, we saw Worf be a good friend to humanity when he could have just been looking for glory and all of this. He was a good friend to the humans that he lived and worked amongst, or all of them, all of the species that he lived and worked amongst. Uh, what else? Who else had the reputations? Oh, the Romulans. And then we see a Romulan like y'all tell me his name. And this is a lot of people's favorite Romulan, and I can't think of his name right now. Picard. That Romulan. Elnor. God, it took a long time for that to come out. Lord. My memory is not ish. Miss Powell said, love the Talin episode 4 out of 5 for that one, 4.5 for this one. Me and you are pretty close. Yeah, she loved Freeman this week. I did too. And I love the episode. They did a fantastic job making a classic sitcom in animated form. And with Star Trek very much at the forefront, not just like we're alluding to some Trek. This was definitely Star Trek. Now, before I jump up out of here, we got 10 minutes before the hour. I'm gonna see what Easter eggs. Wait, Grace, you so crazy. Say, don't worry if you forgot Elnor's name. The show forgot about him too. Oh gosh, and Laris, I forgot about her. Oh, y'all gonna make me die. I forgot about her altogether. Now, I read an article, and y'all tell me if y'all saw the same article, where Patrick Stewart was talking about how Picard season 3 was supposed to end, and how it was supposed to end was Picard sitting out looking over his vineyard with his dog next to him, and a female voice calls out from the kitchen saying, Jean-Luc, dinner's ready. And Jean-Luc, dinner's ready. But the voice is kind of obscured where you don't know whether it's Beverly or Loris who's calling him. And I think that would have been fantastic, because that has been one of the things that's been sticking in my craw, is that we never got back to find out what move Picard made with these two women that he obviously he loves. And while there's nothing to say that there could not have been a polyamorous relationship, because Romulans, but that was going to stick, that stuck in my craw, that we just didn't get the answer. So that was one of the things. But I'm going to look over here and see what Easter eggs I left out. Claire said burn. He's talking, they definitely drop some heat here, especially when Grace with this, the show forgot about him too. Oh my gosh. So let's see. The Uncle Quark experience. Let's just share this screen. This is also from trekmovie.com, because everything is from trekmovie.com. We're going to see what else what other Easter eggs I missed. So we got franchised Quark franchise station Deep Space Nine's Quark's bar, grill, gaming house, and holosuite arcade to locations around the quadrant, but his influence is even greater on his home world. The first sign of this is as the Lower Deckers arrive on the planet. One of the first of many businesses that can be spotted is Uncle Quark's Youth Casino, which I didn't pay any attention to. I missed it. I'm sorry, y'all, but that's funny. Okay, so uh, Ferenginar, which is also sort of like Space Las Vegas, which was pointed out to me by Clarence, also featured another Quark business, Quark's Federation Experience. The Starfleet themed restaurant was an homage to Star Trek The Experience, a themed attraction that operated inside Las Vegas's Hilton from 1998 to 2008, which happened to include a restaurant style like Quark's from DS9. After the episode aired, showrunner Mike McMahon said on Twitter, "I only got to go to the Star Trek Experience in Vegas once, but man, did it make an impression." And there we have Quarks, and we also have the actual Star Trek The Experience. So we get a deeper look, or a more pulled back look at the ceiling. Those old velour uniforms. Quark's Federation Experience itself contained quite a few nods, including Tendi pointing to the TOS uniforms on the wait staff, saying the waiters wear one of those old velour uniforms that used to catch fire all the time. The main restaurant also featured the aesthetic of the USS Enterprise from Star Trek The Original Series, with other TOS nods around the restaurant, including the pictures of a Mugato, Guardian of Forever, a Vulcan gong, and the giant spear-throwing aliens of Taurus 2. Pick up this Jimmy says, "You don't have to throw up in my mouth twice. Let's do it." Oh gosh. And this pal said, "I saw that, but he was going to have his real life wife say the lines, and we would have known the difference. Patrick has always merged his real persona with Picard. He dated Vash in real life." Yeah. Oh, you saw the that same article. The youth casino was hilarious. Yes, I'm finding all of this actually very funny. Other TOS touches include a conjugal suite style like a Class F shuttle, and a kiosk that sold red shirts. God. I didn't see that. It's right there. I did not see it. If this was live action, I would have seen it. I pay attention to everything live action. I don't know why I'm not paying attention with this animated stuff. This pal says the Ferengi flag was apparently in the flag decorations behind Picard's speech in episode 1, season 2. So this week's episode explains their entry into the Federation. There were two. So what you're saying is correct. And then Dreamwalker brought it up to me also. Hey, we saw in Discovery that they eventually made it into the Federation. So we're getting a little backstory of how. So you are correct. Both of you guys pointed out two very good things about two very separate shows. Rom and Lita and the new Ferenginar in the penultimate episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Quark's brother Rom was made Grand Nagus. This episode picks up on that story 6 years later. We know about all of that part, right? Vassery told Captain Freeman, "We're not dealing with the old Ferenginar anymore. Rom and Lita have brought so much progressive change, it makes Moab 4 look inside the dome look like more of Moab 4 outside the dome." Moab 4 was from Star Trek The Next Generation episode, The Masterpiece Society, which featured a barren planet with a domed colony. They did a very good job rendering Rom and Lita in the style of Star Trek Lower Decks as well. Let's see. Things have changed, but Rom still holds the Nagus staff as his symbol of office. Episode wrapped with Rom seeing or with Ram in the same Nagus throne used by the Grand Nagus Zek, who also broke tradition by being advised by Ishka, a female, who happened to be Quark and Ram's mom. Still all about the Latinum. And then some other rules of acquisition, right? Freeman mentioned one that was not mentioned on the screen before, which was rule number 8: small print leads to large risk. Yes. Ram's throne room also featured a Ferengi market exchange display like those seen on Deep Space Nine. Clarence says, don't know if you mentioned it, but I thought Tendi and Rutherford climbing in. Yes, it was very suggestive. And it also shows just how, I want to say, innocent they are, because they didn't realize that them climbing in that Jeffries tube and being on top of each other and all the squirming and all that was more y'all know what I'm trying to say, than pretending to be married on Ferenginar. It doesn't occur to them, because this is something that is just very natural to them, to be tight in this Jeffries tube together. But I loved it. Were there any Ferengi females in this episode? If there were, I ain't pay no attention. Boimler also witnessed the my mouth is doing that again. For-profit model, as he expected. He checked into his hotel room. His checklist included noting the for-profit minibar, the for-profit toilet, the machine that charges you to pay for the toilet and the minibar. Machines to accept the strips of latinum for each of these transactions are similar to those seen in previous visits to Ferenginar on Deep Space Nine. Everything costs there. See memorials to the dead throughout the Dominion War. DS9, a casualty list posted on the station, became a bit of a makeshift memorial as seen in the classic episode In the Pale Moonlight, but Ferengi do things differently, as their Dominion War memorial was shown to be mourning the lost prophets, which Mariner noted, I got to give it to you, Ferengi keep it on brand. Miss Powell said, oh, they did have some naked ones in Quarks? You got to be kidding, girl. Oh, Wingrave said, yep, there was an unclothed one in the background. There you have it. Clarence said, didn't notice. I did not either. Again, I'm going to have to watch this episode again with my eyes open. Oh, gosh. We saw Sluggo Cola. You have that with your grubs, which contains 43% live algae. Sluggo could be seen from the start of the visit to Ferenginar, including branding the boxing arena the Sluggo-nasium. Boimler was also taken in by a Sluggo commercial, which he called a commercial for Sluggo, laughing at how they just lie to you. Yes, they do. The ad featured a Ferengi drinking Sluggo, and his ears grew, and an attractive woman pushed away another Ferengi for the Sluggo drinker, but the announcer promises Sluggo Cola. This happens to everyone who drinks it. Except for, notice, Ferengi female, clothes on. Anywho, as Boimler binge watched the Ferengi show Pog and Dar, cop landlords. This is what Miss Powell loves so much. It's the cop landlords. It also included some product placement when one character stopped the drama to say, I just need to enjoy the crisp, refreshing taste of Sluggo Cola. The product placement particularly amused Boimler, who said, oh, they put commercials in the shows? It's like mind control. Look, and this is like pointing out what we just talked about a little while ago. Things got meta here as he said that while sitting in front of a painting styled like the logo of Paramount Plus, the streaming home of Lower Decks. Getting even more meta, the Ferengi TV he was watching was shaped like a CBS logo. It all points to subliminal messaging, mind control. Ferengi need all that sluggo cola to wash down the tube grubs, a favorite delicacy of Ferengi, who eat the larval creatures live as well as minced or fried. When Admiral Vassery prepared for Ferengi visitors on board the USS Toronto, he included a bowl of tube grubs along with a cheese plate shaped like a starship. I noticed that starship plate too. That's something that I did notice. For-profit model reminded me of Europe. I had to use a machine for a token for a toilet or buy a ticket or coins for the toilet. You got to be kidding me, girl. They give you universal health care, but you gotta pay to use the shitter. Oh gosh. Uh Speaking of drinks, Mariner began her bar crawl on Ferenginar with an impressive order of 2 shots of Cardassian tequila and a dagger of the mind on the rocks. I remember that stood out to me too. Then immediately upping that to 3 shots. Who knew that Cardassians made tequila? They're best known for drinking Kanar. As for that mixed drink, she ordered, it's a reference to the TOS episode Dagger of the Mind about a penal colony where the prisoners were being managed and tortured by a neural neutralizer. It's unknown what she was drinking when she moved on to the library casino and was seen wearing a drinking hat shaped like a Ferengi head. Quote of the day. Oh Lord, which one is the quote of the day? Love the ship cutting board. Yes, that stood out for me. For what reason, I don't know. That unicorn dog violates the lease. Let me see. Another familiar creature showed up on Pog and Dar Cop Landlords. A tenant was being busted for having a pet over 25 points, and the adorable thing was an Alpha 177 canine, also known as the unicorn dog from the TOS episode The Enemy Within. Excuse me. Sorry. There was another more subtle homage on the Cerritos, as Mariner could be seen working on a self-sealing stem bolt, which was a bit of a running gag on DS9. Boimler was worried that Mariner was overdoing it, saying, "You've been weathering that stem bolt for so long, it probably can't even self-seal anymore." And did you see anything else? Because I missed a lot of this. A lot of you guys caught it with your eagle eyes. I did not. Oh, okay. It didn't pay for the toilet. It paid for the tips for the cleaning staff. Well, you know what? I'm all for that. I'm all for that because I've cleaned my share of toilets, and and I think I deserve the tip for cleaning those toilets in public places because things can get really bad in public places. Y'all know that. Jude, hey there. He said I wanted one of those when I was a kid. The unicorn dog. It is cute, but it was just like, of course, I watched this after it was after it had run probably 10 million times, and this very clearly was a dog, a very unhappy dog in a costume, but he was cute. Oh gosh. Well, I don't have anything else. I'm gonna keep Miss Powell your ideas for moving into genres after Star Trek Lower Decks. Kind of makes sense. Kind of makes sense. I'm gonna look into doing a little bit more of that. What else did we talk about here? I am watching Ahsoka. Well, I did watch Ahsoka. I loved it. Absolutely, positively loved it. I actually like the fact that we kind of end on a bit of a cliffhanger, like what the hell is going on. I liked that. I enjoyed it. I liked the first episode of Loki. Enjoyed it. Was a bit lost because it's like it's trying to make some things happen that we didn't see happen last season. So now, it's just keeping up, which I'm good with. I'm good with keeping up. What else? What else am I watching? Oh, well, I told you, Gen V. If you guys are into juvenile humor, and I guess I'm not above it. It's not juvenile. It's more sophomoric. It's a sophomoric type of humor. And that is Gen V, which is a spinoff of The Boys. So if The Boys ain't your bag, I am watching that though. And then I've got the ideas from Win Grace and from David. Everybody who is saying, you know what, you might want to pick up this series. I'm keeping what you guys said, and everything makes me laugh. The Dominion War Memorial for Lost Prophets. And Miss Powell also loved Ahsoka. I did too, girl. We're gonna have to talk about it. We're gonna have to talk about it. We got a couple more weeks of Star Trek Lower Decks, and then we can really get into the other stuff, because there's a lot of other stuff. The Wheel of Time, man, so freaking fantastic. I hope everybody who watched it with me in season 1 enjoyed season 2. If not, get into it. The first episode is like a slow moving, but it gets you there. But after that, everything happens. It happens, and it happens, and we end with this fantastic battle. And I won't say anything else. Watch it. So now I'm about to go in here and get back on grandma duty because the kids are still here. Oh, Clarence, 4 episodes in, it's picking up. I think you're going to be just as enthralled as I am. Because I think, yeah, because you liked the first season as well. So yes, there are answers to some questions, and I am so here for it. And I'm also here for next week's episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, where we'll come back here and talk about it. In the mean and in between, tomorrow is Clarence's live stream, 8 p.m. Central Time. Clarence, you'll let me know if there's anything changing. We get a different perspective of this same episode. Not only that, Clarence usually has at least one of his co-hosts with him, and he that if you want to talk more with me and Win Grace, we're usually there. Win Grace is there every Monday, faithfully, religiously. And I missed a couple of Mondays because I kept falling a freak asleep, but I was there last week, and I made it a point to be there. Last week, Monday. So tomorrow, if you guys ain't doing nothing, discussing Trek on YouTube, on Facebook, hang out with us there. I'd love to see you guys again and have this conversation. All right. Let me Jude, it is discussing Trek. I put, wait a minute now. Yeah, Jude, it's discussing Trek. But you know what? If he makes his thumbnail, I'm going to share it on my page so that you guys, on my YouTube channel, so that you guys will know where to find Clarence, because it's a fun time, and he ain't as long-winded as me. He's not going to talk for 2 or 3 hours. He's going to pretty much wrap it up in under an hour, but you will hear other perspectives, and you get to hang out with me and Win Grace some more. So there's always that. And thank you, Miss Powell. Thank you, Win Grace, everybody. And he said, leather shirt. This is actually a dress, girl. It's a dress. Look, I had to put some clothes on because the babies, my son's dad and his wife were supposed to be stopping by to see Amira. And I'm like, I can't be sitting around here looking like a wildebeest and people coming by. So I put some clothes on, throw on some makeup so I look like a human. But anyway, thanks for the plug. No, not a problem. I stand behind the fact that I do think that there's quality Trek content out there, and you, sir, provide some of it. Yes, sir. But anywho, I'm going to see y'all later. Peace. Live long and prosper. Oh, I guess I got to